What's going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Chaos Ed Noah. Last time we're on, we finished up Senna's route by finally getting to the Planetarium and gaining the quote-unquote cheat code, which was in fact a baby of all things. But before we were able to do anything with it, aka kill it from Takayumi's suggestion, of course, our favorite guy in the whole world, Sua, shows up and tries to kill us, and he kills the baby first, but Remy manages to come in and save us from the dastardly Sua. We get to the planetarium, and with the help of both Takayumi and Senna, both giving their life energy to their to Takayumi's disc sword, they are able to destroy the planetarium once and for all. But in doing so, they lose their own lives, but yet the baby itself is somehow alive, in which case I have guessed or surmised that the cheat code was taking the life essence of the baby so that the two of them could be invincible as they were riddled with bullets from members of the Church of the Divine Light. But in doing so, they give their life energy back to the baby. We learned all of this in that Momose is actually a member of the Committee of 300, actually, which is... what? I still don't know how to really interpret that of okay, Momose is one of the members of the Committee of 300 now, I guess. So I guess that would make sense why she has so much information on Shibuya and the like, but who knows. But right now we're on the penultimate route, which is Remy's, in which we saw an interesting scene between Shogun and her, and how she explained how she feels about Takayumi, and that she thinks it's a bit unfair to him to have to participate in all of this, and at the same time, Shogun is sacrificing his wife in order to create Takayumi, in order to destroy Noah in the first place. So I'm curious to see where this goes, and it's probably going to be a lot of skipping because the branch splits off into Chapter 8. So let's hope there's more intermissions than just one like the previous routes. But let's get right into it, shall we? Boop. And through the alley of the shadow of death, I take a look at myself. She too had heard that sound. Oh. Before, there had been a strange roaring sound, like something tearing its way through the air. The Noah sound. Soon after she heard it, she discovered its origin, a rucksack worn by a nearby suspicious-looking person. When she attempted to pursue them, however, they escaped. That was when she heard another sound echoing in the distance, the shrill sound of stakes being nailed into a wall, and though faint, the whirling sound from before could still be heard as well. The two sounds resonated in grating harmony, creating the illusion that her ears may start bleeding at any moment. Oh crap. Wildly biting her lips, she sprinted toward the source of the sound, and there her eyes landed upon... There's the actual scene. A corpse, affixed to a wall by several cross-shaped stakes. Oh. Startled, she surveyed her surroundings. Though she loathed to admit it, the size of the victim did not matter to her in the slightest. If granted the opportunity, she would naturally have preferred to save him, but it was much too late, and now there were more important matters at hand. I see. The reason why Takayumi saw the vision he did is, one, because of the image Shogun actually gave him, or the drawing that Shogun gave him of a photo of a guy with a million stakes going through his body, right? And two, there's a nearby dude, or Nozomi employee or whatever, actually providing the Noah, machine to support, Takayumi's delusion of that. So, I see. Okay. Hopefully, I think this route's going to explain, pretty much every other, loose end here, which is awesome. If granted the opportunity, she would naturally have preferred to save him, but it was too much to... Okay, I think I read this. She couldn't let Nishijou Takumi see this place. She couldn't let him be consumed by fear. Where could he be? With that on her mind, she returned her gaze to the corpse. Ooh. Damn. She was at a loss for words. She had only looked away for a second, and yet in that short time, countless stakes had presumably mutilated the corpse. Just a moment ago, there had only been a few stakes on the wall, just enough to suspend the corpse in midair. There hadn't even been any external injuries, let alone blood. But now, a grisly spectacle lay before her eyes. The sight of it left her reeling in horror, frantically fighting to endure her nausea, her vision distorted as uncertainty seized her heart. Ooh. In that moment, the girl came to notice that the changes did not end there. Oh shit. Her clothes were different. She was wearing a uniform unfamiliar to her from a school she didn't recognize. In addition, her body was stained with crimson, and in her hand was a stake. Oh shit. Someone's delusion had edited the scene around her. The gruesome corpse, her clothes, the rich scarlet blood. Was any of it real? It couldn't possibly be real. There was no stench of blood. She couldn't feel the icy chill of the metal stake in her hand. She put her hand to her bloody cheek and it came away dry. She carefully reached for one of the stakes planted in the body, but when she tried to grab it, her hand grasped nothing but air. Everything was a delusion, a far, far too vivid delusion. But at any moment, the delusion could become reality. It had already taken form. Once real booted, it would merge with reality. What was she to do? The girl was overtaken by doubt. A delusional space like this, oozy negativity, was well beyond anything she was used to dealing with. Such a powerful deluder may have already taken Nishijou Takayumi's life. She might suddenly find Takayumi pinned to the wall in this man's place. At this point, it would not even surprise her. Driven by anxiety, she let out a soft cry, and right at that moment... Oh shit. The terrified scream of a boy resounded from behind her. Oh. Wow. Interesting. Okay, yeah, this is good. Alright, good. If the game's going to make me go from the very first chapter to the last chapter, you know, I better have additional scenes than just one, but cool. Alright, okay. Alright. So because of the Noah influencing reality, and just Takayumi's just general paranoia and delusion, and I guess because all this started because of that positive delusion we had, right? At the very beginning. That was our first choice, which meant that Takayumi already had the kind of concept of this scene in his head already, right? And therefore, with the help of the Noah, the delusion was able to be much more vivid, and therefore it was real booted due to Takayumi's perspective on Remy as well. So cool. The vast majority of the nurses at Yogori General Hospital were out making their rounds. Only one could still be found sitting alone at the nurse's station. Oh boy. She stared at a laptop with a deadpan expression on her face. Despite not being on break, she was in the middle of a phone call. It did not seem to matter to her in the slightest that she was violating her work's policy on cell phone usage. Reflected in her blank eyes was a certain chat log, shining brightly on the computer screen before her. Speaking on the other end of the call was a man. It was clear from how they spoke to one another that the conversation had nothing to do with work. With a mechanical flick of her wrist, the nurse moved the mouse with the intention of copying the log. However, she suddenly stopped, her brow furrowed.
どうしたんす？
The nurse ignored the man's question, narrowing her eyes as she brought her face closer to the screen. The screen still displayed the chat logs, however something seemed different from a few seconds prior. Something had changed, an impossibility, considering they were logs and not real-time conversations. And yet, even though everything had felt perfectly normal a moment ago, something felt incredibly out of place now.
ログの書き込み時間が変わってる。
Oh shit. Whose eyes are those eyes?
どういうことだ？
The man understood how absurd her claim was, and the voice on the other end of the call became much lower.
ついさっきまでは不自然なところなんてなかったのに、これ一体どうなって。
落ち着け。相手は化け物級のギガロマニアックスだ。
Who?
細工されたのかしら。
自分の実在を知られたくないためだろう。
書き込み時間が変化したことで自作自演のように見えてくるわ。
そう見えるなら、それが狙いってことだ。現実を妄想にした。
Huh.
気をつけろ、シノ。見られているぞ。奴に。
Damn. We chatting from Sunday, 3:14, 3:15. Then we finally get to Monday at 19:19. Huh. Suddenly a sense of uneasiness crept up on the back of Shino's neck. Covering her nape with her hand, she turned to face the source of the gaze, but there's nobody there. Not a single soul could be found within the nurse's station.
信仰の救いあれ。
Shino murmured those words of prayer to herself, hoping they would sweep the fear away. Interesting. So the timestamps did change. I guess it must just be like a kind of after effect of Takumi's reality altering powers. It like he's not doing it consciously. That's the thing. That is the thing. He's doing it. I guess that would make sense because he's a delusion made sentient. So like what happens to reality when a delusional existence, a person that was never born, really, that was created, is put into reality? What happens to the reality around them? You know, I guess that's the whole point. That is why Takumi is able to alter reality to such a point. It's because he's not supposed to exist. He's not supposed to exist in this world. That's why he's so powerful. That's why once he activates a Discord, he's so unimaginably powerful. Because what if a fictional character, like, I guess you could say a fictional character gains sentience and breaks, you know? Quite literally, like, they mentally break. Then they gain a fucking Discord. Yeah. Therefore, they would fucking, yeah. So no wonder they fucking refer to Takumi as a fucking monster. Because he's not supposed to exist. He's supposed to be he's just not supposed to be exist. He's kind of like Gappy from Part 8, really. If any of you have read JoJo. Kind of see him in that way. But anyway. Oh, here we go. Finally. Sakahata Remi remained expressionless as she moved forward. She was walking down one of Sumire Academy's many hallways, this one lined with classrooms for second-year students. She was not accustomed to wearing a uniform, as this was her first time setting foot in this place, yeah. She paid no mind to all the other students in her vicinity. However, her apparent composure was a mere facade, one intended to desperately conceal a boiling pot of unease within her. Her somewhat awkward march through the halls betrayed this, but as she proceeded toward her destination, she kept her head held high all the same. Soon enough, she reached room 2C.
ここか。
She already knew the answer. It was Nishijou Takayumi's class. She placed her hand on the closed door. Only then did she realize that her fingers were trembling. Under normal circumstances, I would have loved to come here. Such a desire crossed her mind for a moment, but she stopped her delusions from progressing any further. After taking a small breath, she vigorously slid the door open.
みんな、おはよう。
Aw. Her stoic expression faded, as if it had never existed to begin with. The classroom before her was remarkably cheerful, overflowing with energy. She lifted her right hand to her forehead, snapping into the pose of a salute. Remy's greeting resounded throughout the classroom. In the classroom, fell as silent as death itself. Class had not started yet, so the room was about half full, but everyone that was there was looking her way, visibly puzzled. And for a good reason. Nobody in this class, no, nobody in this school knew who she was. And for that very reason, Remy had to first make sure to draw everyone's attention. She drew her disc sword, and yet not a soul reacted. The sword, with blades arranged like inflexible feathers, was still a delusion that was visible to no one. For her purposes, however, that was enough. Go forth, my delusion. She fired her thoughts at the eyes of those gazing at her. Then, as if it had somehow been planned beforehand, everyone blinked in unison. And then, all at once, the room's frozen atmosphere thawed. Remy looked around the room once more, and then a smile formed on her face.
おはよう。
おはよう、咲畑。
Son of a bitch, that's how she does it.
おーっす。
So, I guess her power is to... Everyone accepts her existence. In a way, I guess.
ニーニー、朝っぱらから声大きすぎ。
No. What it isn't her existence, it's merely accept her delusion. Which is the delusion of, I've been at this school for a long time.
もっと静かに入ってこいよな。
Wow. Like, they can only do it when they're looking at her, though. One after another, each student spoke to her like they had always known her. Wait, that's the same thing that happened to fucking Takayumi. Remember in that one, in the positive, delusion? Of, like, when he sees Remy, he doesn't know a name, but it eventually appears in his mind for some reason? It's because she used her disc sword on him. That's why. That's why she was able to fucking do it. Okay, alright. Even though, until mere seconds ago, they had never seen her before. But it was different now. Remy had planted delusions into them. Delusions that soon attained mutual recognition. Recognition that Sakahata Remy is a student at Sumire Academy and is a member of Class 2C. 2 days prior, she had tested this trick on Nishijou Takayumi, Taku, but it had proven to be not very effective. As a result, she had been worrying over how exactly it would unfold when she tried it here. Yeah, it didn't work all the way with Takayumi. That is a good fucking point. But it seems her anxiety had been unfounded. After seeing the smiles of her chattering classmates, she heaved a sigh of relief. She recalled her disc sword, then approached an empty seat from the vacant row in the back of the room. This desk was another delusion she had created. She placed her bag down, but rather than sitting, she turned to face the boy approaching her.
Yo, Rimi.
よ、ミスミ大輔。ミスミ大輔。ミスミ大輔。
Mimi spoke his name 3 times to ensure certainty.
なんで3回言った？しかもフルネーム。
そういう からだよ。大地。
I'm assuming he was Taku's friend. In addition to being quite handsome, he cruelly put care into the way he dressed. Remy did not know how his friendship with Taku had came to be. Perhaps Takayumi was responsible for fabricating this friendship through delusions. Maybe. Shit, maybe. Or perhaps Masumi and Taku truly had formed a genuine friendship on their own, with no outward interference. The cause mattered not. All that mattered was that he and Taku were friends. Remy's delusion had already implanted fresh memories within him.
タクは
まだ来てねえな。っていうか、今日はあいつ来る日か？
多分ね。
さすがタクの保護者だな。あいつのスケジュールをちゃんと把握してるなんてよ。
Remy wore a strained smile. There was a smile formed from feelings of guilt. Everyone's memories had been altered with delusions. This would remain Remy's secret, with nobody else suspecting a thing. Those around her would act friendly with her. However, nothing could change the fact that these relationships had been crafted from falsehoods. She had thought that she had become completely accustomed to loneliness by now, but by placing herself in this classroom, she was subjecting herself to desolation stronger than ever before. Shit. Damn, that is a sad thought. She is only able to create relationships because of implanting memories within people. Not actually bonding with people, but merely just not actually bonding with them, actually getting to know them, but just merely they know you. That's it. That's all there is. Like, there's no evolution of the relationship. It's just pretty much they already know me. That is pretty fucking sad. And yeah, I mean, I guess it could also be you could interpret it as a metaphor for people that hide their true selves to others, right? Of like, yeah, these people know me, but do they really know me exactly? You know, and it's kind of a sad reality of how some people live their lives. But it's interesting. It is pretty fucking fascinating. Oh, here we go. Standing in the center of a dimly lit room, Sakahata Rimi hung her head, remaining deathly still. The room's owner, Nishijou Takayumi, Taku, was not currently present. He had not locked the door before he left, so Remy had easily been able to enter. She checked the time on her cell phone. It was nearly 10 p.m. Is Taku still at Scramble Crossing? If she had been able, she would have helped him straight away. She had already attempted to once before, but the closer she had gone to Scramble Crossing, the denser the crowd had become, and eventually she had been rendered unable to move. Ah, so that vision when the bad delusion wasn't actually totally fake, of Remy trying to get in. In the end, the Esper Boys show had concluded before she had reached Ofront. It was then that she heard Takayumi's voice. He pleaded with her to return Nanami's hand. It was not often that Takayumi would ask Remy for a favor. Nozomi had kidnapped Nanami and they were currently subjecting her to all manner of torture. Takayumi had been able to locate her using his mind-reading abilities. As she and Nanami had been acquainted in the past, hearing this news broke Remy's heart. A cardboard box sat on the sofa. Containing within it was a cell phone, a petite bangle, and Nanami's severed hand. This sight left Remy at a loss for words. Concern, anguish, and sorrow overwhelmed her. All at once, memories of her own past hardships flashed through her mind. Forcefully biting her lip, Remy stared at the hand for a few moments. And then, with a deep breath, she gently closed the lid of the box, sealed it with duct tape, and left the room with the package in tow. So she's the one that took it. Okay. Alright then. Rumi took out her cell phone and connected to the one-seg television broadcasting service. The events at Scramble Crossing had been on the news earlier, so she tuned into it, hoping to confirm something. But when the channel came on, it was in the midst of a commercial break, which must have meant that they were not broadcasting live anymore. In other words, Taku must not have been at Scramble Crossing anymore. Knowing this, Remy reluctantly returned to the hospital room she shared with Takayumi. The lights were off. The room was as pitch black as when she had left it. The bed was empty as Takayumi was sitting in his real chair instead, something that Remy had become accustomed to.
ナナミの腕は
持ってきた。
God, he is so small. Remy opened the box and presented it to Takayumi.
ありがとう。
直せるかな？直せるよね。
わからない。でもこの病院なら冷凍保存しておける設備がある。
Huh. Of course, reason it would be better than nothing, but there's no guarantee that it could ever be returned to her. That was what his eyes conveyed to her.
大丈夫。きっと治るよ。
Rumi boldly declared this with a positive flair.
きっと治るって信じる。もっともその前にナナミちゃんを助け出さなきゃいけないけど。
ナナミは殺されることはないと思う。焦って動くことはないよ。
冷静なんだね。ごめん。今言った言葉は忘れて。それよりタクは今どこにいるかわかる？
この病院に搬送されてきたよ。精神科の病室で眠ってる。
Yeah.
そうなの？
Rumi's eyes widened and she immediately burst out of the room. Oh boy. Visiting hours had long since ended, forcing Rumi to conceal the sound of her footsteps as she traversed the dim hallways. She knew that both Nozomi and the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light were among the hospital staff, and she could not afford to attract any unwanted attention. Following a long and arduous trek, she arrived at the room that Takayumi had informed her of. Upon inspecting her surroundings to ensure she would not be seen, she slowly opened the door. The room was pure white, the entirety providing not even the slightest hint of warmth. Rumi silently approached the bed in the center of the room. Taku lay there, sleeping deeply, his forehead beaded with sweat, his eyebrows were furrowed, and a moan would occasionally escape his lips. Rumi reached out towards Taku's cheek and gently caressed it.
ごめんね。あなたを守ってあげられなくて。
Unable to withhold her emotions any longer, she whispered that into his ear. Damn. Fuck, man. Fuck, man, indeed. Holy shit. I'm sorry I was unable to protect you. God. Shit, man. That's all I have to say. Shit, indeed. Okay. Oh, shit. I sensed Rumi moving behind me. The rustling of her clothes was growing closer.
だから無視しないでよ。
Before I had the chance to turn around, I was embraced from behind. A gentle floral scent hit me. My back was struck by the soft sensation of Remy's breast.
寂しいよ。そういうことされると。
I must have been running away from reality again, giving myself a delusion that was a lot easier to swallow than the real world. Upon thinking that, the sheer emptiness I felt overpowered any lust I may have had, and I was no longer able to enjoy the delusion anymore. Rather than taking her and pinning her down in the bed, I decided to throw out all the things I could have only voiced in a delusion such as this.
僕だって寂しかった。辛かったんだ。リミがこの1週間全然連絡くれなくて。
Oh. I could feel the movements of Remy's body directly against my back. Her chest faintly rose and fell with every breath. As obvious as the fact may have been, it reminded me that Remy truly was alive.
ごめん。一緒にいてあげられなくてごめん。
Remy tightened her embrace around me.
私の中でもまだ迷いがあって、どうしたらいいかわからなくて、ちょっと考えてみようと思って。
Doubts? Like what? What could she have been talking about?
そもそも私、タクと一緒にいていいのかなとか、このままの関係を続けるべきなのかなとか。
Oh.
でもね、このままじゃきっとダメなんだ。それじゃあ何も救えない。ねえタク、私が最初に願ったのはさ、一つだけだった。なのにどうして人は、私は際限なく望み続けちゃうんだろうね。あの空を見つけた時に私は
I had no idea what Remy was talking about, nor did I know how to respond to it. Silence enveloped us. I could hear Remy's gentle breaths close to my ear. But no matter how long I waited for it to end it with some silly punchline, none ever came in the waffle in silence. Was it possible that this wasn't a delusion? The moment I considered that, a wave of anxiety ran through me. In reality, Remy was hugging me. She was pressing tightly against me. That realization alone nearly destroyed any sense of reason I had. I had a feeling that, in a situation like this, if I pinned Remy to the bed, she'd let me have my way with her. With a gulp, I... Shit. Remy let go of me in surprise, and the tender sensation vanished along with her. A complicated mix of both relief and disappointment spread throughout my chest. Wait a second. Remy, I just heard my serotonin notification tone. Oh god, how embarrassing. When I opened my email software, I saw about 3 messages from Grim telling me to join the chat room. Now that I thought about it, I hadn't really chatted much with Grim recently. We used to talk online pretty much every day. But since I've been refraining from playing ESO, it's been around 10 days since we last talked. Oh boy. Yo. Hey, Nighthawk-kun. I've been waiting for you. Because there's been another new gen. Here we go. Yep. That was that? I can't tell if that was due to me hitting the green button or if that was new. I can't tell, but damn, that was a fucking sweet scene. That really was. Holy shit. Okay. Fuck. Damn, that was a really good CG too. Like, the camera actually panned and shit. Like, holy fuck. Like, I don't remember that at all. But alright. Alright indeed. Okay. Go for here, yep. Go through all of this. So when's the split? When's the split? Because this is chapter 8. He went to go right past me, but just before he did, he put his hand on my shoulder.
俺外に出てるわ。タク押し倒しちまえよ。俺の読みじゃ岸本はお前に脈ありだぜ。
え
Don't give me that fucking smile. Flashing me a mischievous smile, he left the room, and of course that meant that the only ones left in the room were me and Elise. There we go. I guess I just haven't done many Chapter 8 delusions. I guess that makes sense, because I usually never get to Chapter 8. Silence. Despite having been going on and on about all that schizo shit mere seconds ago, Elise now hung her head in complete silence. Her hands gripped the hem of her shirt as she rolled it up toward her, then straightened it back out again, then toward her, then back again. I guess I had to say something? But I had really no idea what the hell she'd been talking about. Oh, here's an idea. Since I come here to visit her in the hospital, I could give her a few words of sympathy about her condition and call it good. But considering she's been put in the psych ward, I couldn't exactly just ask her about her condition. What was I supposed to do? If I knew I was going to be like this, I would have just left with Sumi-kun.
Takumi.
Hearing my name made me jump. Elise raised her head, then held out both hands to me.
来て。
Whoa.
こっちに来て。
Unsure of what she would do if I refused, I took a very confused step toward the bed.
もっと。
Urged on, I took another step. Our hands touched, then taking hold of them, she swiftly pulled me in. She lowered her head once more. She stared intently at my hand.
君は私を救ってくれた命の恩人よ。
That wasn't true at all. I just saved her by chance, nothing more. Not to mention, I didn't even know whether I'd actually created that for her bit in the first place.
ありがとう。
Aw, Luisa's voice was shaky. Was she crying? Huh? I felt a warm sensation on my fingertip. I looked down to see what it was. For some reason, I couldn't comprehend my index finger was inside of Luisa's mouth.
ちょ
Fuck. I felt something soft and warm touch my fingertip. It wriggled and coiled around my finger, then swooped in one of the gaps between nail and flesh. Oh my god. How exactly had we gotten to this point? I was more confused than ever, but I didn't have it in me to resist. It just felt way too good. I was now entirely at her mercy. All she was doing was wicking my finger, so why was it so...
ダメ
The pleasure suddenly switched to sharp pain. At least I bit my finger hard.
痛っあだだだやめちょ
Damn. It felt like she was biting right through to the bone. That was how painful it was. Oh shit. Practically tore my hand away and eventually managed to free it from Elise's mouth. Her bewitching laughter filled me with fear. I quickly went to check the bite wound on my finger. It shone with Elise's thick, slimy saliva. Blood dribbled from the tooth marks, but the blood wasn't red. It was a sinister black.
その血の色が黒騎士の証よ。
By having a delusion like that, I was somehow able to endure Elise's insane psychobabble. I didn't pay attention to a single word, but Elise didn't seem to notice. She simply continued to talk about how Galdor did this and Rickard did that, all while having a very serious expression glued to her face. God.
わかった。
Oh shit, positive person found all positive delusions. Hey, sick. That's cool. Okay, I guess I should. Well, shit, I guess the only ones I haven't done are the negative ones. All the way up to chapter. I think the chapter 8 delusions are the last ones I haven't done yet. Or. Yeah, I guess so. Interesting. Okay. That's good to know.
私のことをご家族に紹介してくれる？
Remy peered at my face with a somewhat mischievous look.
タクのお家にお邪魔することになれば顔を合わせることになるでしょ。タクはどうするつもりなのかなって思って。ねえ、どう？
Wasn't that an event that only came after you started dating? Remy and I weren't a couple, at least for now anyway. Hang on, what did I just sound? For now? Was I seriously thinking we had a chance at ending up together? Yes, Remy was really nice to me, but at the end of the day, I was an otaku freak. There was no getting away from that. The chance in hell was it ever happening. No point in even hoping for it to. Quit being such a conceited loser, Takumi.
タク、教えてってば。
How was I supposed to answer that? Telling Remy that I introduced her would be expecting way too much. But saying I wouldn't introduce her would probably hurt her.
ああ、もう、ちれったいな。こうなったら、はっきり言わせてもらっちゃおうかな。紹介して。
はい。
Caught off guard by her, I nodded in spite of myself, but Remy seemed perfectly satisfied with my answer.
計算通り。
A familiar voice reached my ears. Surprised, I turned to where the voice had come from, only to find Nanami hiding in the shadow of the container house, smiling.
ナナミ
Why was Nanami here? And that happy smile on her face. It was worlds away from what she'd been like over the phone. Almost like she was a completely different person. Bewildered, my mind went completely blank, and yet, despite my confusion, Nanami trotted over to me with a spring in her step.
イエーイ。イエーイ。
Okay, this is the cutest fucking CG ever. And gave Remy a high five. Huh? But why? She's acting almost like they knew each other. Never heard anything about the two of them being friends.
おに、びっくりした？実は全部ナナとリミさんの作戦だったんだよ。
Strat.
作戦？
そう、名付けてお兄とリミさんの仲を既成事実にしちゃおう作戦。お兄があんまりにも奥手で全然リミさんの気持ちに気づこうとしないからナナが協力したの。
You're kidding.
じゃあお前手首の包帯とかさっきの電話とかは
全部作戦のうち。お兄ったら本気でナナの心配してるからちょっと笑いそうになっちゃった。
Nanami laughed without even a hint of guilt. My anger flared. This fucking bitch.
ごめんね、タク。騙すようなことしちゃって。リミさんは謝らなくてもいいの。お兄が超鈍感なのが悪いんだから。
I fell to my knees, crestfallen. I was filled with anger and frustration. Anger at being deceived. Anger at being treated like an idiot for actually worrying about Nanami. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand how Nanami had decided to do things. But rising above all that anger came a certain feeling. One about all my worries being unfounded. One about Nanami being safe. Not only safe, but more lively than ever. My feelings of ease and relief towards those things were far stronger than any anger I could have had, and the suffocating threads of tension coiled around my body were cut away in an instant.
タク、大丈夫？お兄、落ち込んでないで。ほら、立って。これからお父さんとお母さんにリミさんを紹介しに行かなくちゃいけないんだから。3人で一緒に帰ろう。
I couldn't believe how much of a brat my sister was, making a fool out of me, her own brother time and time again. Although sulking somewhat, I reluctantly rose to my feet. Yurimi and Nanami both smiled joyfully, then grabbed one of my hands each. Pulled along by them, I set off. I had a hunch that things would get pretty fun from now on. Like a peaceful, bright future was ahead of me. Yeah. Suddenly, a high-pitched sound pierced my ears. One that sounded almost like a woman's scream. It brought me back to my senses and forced me to realize that Nanami showing up, her strategy, they were all just a convenient delusion for me. Damn. That's sad. That's so fucking sad. Oh shit, here we go. Aoi-san's eye shot right open at the sight of my disc sword. Her blow had been fairly quick, but stopping it had been hardly any trouble. Our disc swords resonated with one another, releasing a shrill cry that enveloped the two of us. I could feel Aoi-san's negative emotions, her fury, her hatred, coming forth through her disc sword.
先畑さんも気がロマニアックスだったのら。
Behind me, Taku sank to the floor in shock, and that said it would be impossible to get him to escape at this point, so I had no choice but to deal with Aoi-san's son somehow.
その男が何をしたか知っているのか ?IR2 という公式を
Yeah.
知ってるよ。
I cut Aoi-san short. I didn't want Taku to even hear its name.
それなら
タクを覚醒させればもっと大変なことになる。
Phew.
その前に殺す。
あなたには無理だよ。
Aoi-san was incredibly aggressive, but she fundamentally misunderstood how a disc sword should have been used. Her attacks were far too straightforward, far too impulsive. Treating her sword as just a simple sword would translate only to a little kid swinging around a tree branch. There was a distinct difference between someone who had been properly instructed on how to wield it and an ordinary high school girl. Dealing with her would be a child's play.
西条は死ぬべき男だ。この世に最悪を振りまいたんだから。
Oof. Aoi-san had been consumed by hatred. Her negative delusions were clearly visible to me. Pouring out from within her, they transformed into a hulking black miasma and forcibly pierced into my dead spots. Aoi-san couldn't have been doing it consciously. However, they wouldn't normally be visible to just anyone she faced. This was a characteristic unique to Gigalomaniacs. When facing another human, it was possible to make that surge of emotions visible, and with that he could weigh all their emotions bare. I focused my attention on the images that were forcefully being projected into and eroding my mind, the emotions that fueled Aoi-san's hatred, her memories. Ooh, shit. I could see them. Her pain, her sorrow, her memories of the past that tormented her. In using those memories, I glared at Aoi-san and formed a delusion. I fabricated a fictitious scene that would twist the knife in her wounds. Yep. A shudder ran through her body. Slowly lowering her sword, she then froze completely. Her expression showed she was clearly shaking. Her eyes were empty. She was no longer looking at me, nor reality. She was now inside the delusion that I fabricated, but I had just given her a cue. The rest of the story was of her own making, guided by her own obsession. And now Aoi-san could no longer fight.
それで
I jumped. I could feel a voice reverberating within my mind.
セナさんの心をぐちゃぐちゃにした先畑さんはその後どうするの？殺しちゃうのかな？
I looked over toward the container house. Oh.
もしもね、殺すって言うなら
Sword of many facets. An overwhelming sense of corrosive misfortune, a pure unadulterated savagery, and a destructive nobility. It was Orhawa-san's this sword.
先畑さんのこと悪い人リストに入れちゃうなら
Huh.
リストにね入った人は
Upon lifting her disc sword high up in the air, Ohara-san smiled cheerfully at me.
コズピーが皆殺しにするの。
Tch.
私は
殺せ
Shit. All of a sudden, Taku raised his voice to a shriek.
セナもコズピーも敵なんだ敵だったんだだからリミ殺しちゃえよ僕は死にたくない
タク、ちょっと黙って。はーい、リスト入り。
Shit. Ohara-san twisted her lips into a smile.
二人とも殺しちゃうから。
Shit. Whoa, fuck. It came like a storm. The sheer speed at which she charged at me was simply inhuman. I was taken by surprise. Ohara-san's disc sword came down on me like a stake being pounded into the earth. I immediately jumped back, but the impact was so strong I was blown back anyway. Somehow managed to land on my feet. Next came a horizontal swing. I tried to deflect it with my sword, but I failed. I ended up taking the blow head on. My arms went completely numb.
死ね死ね。
Fuck. Ohara-san charged at me with unbelievable strength. I had no room to counterattack. How was she so adept at fighting? Despite her small frame, Ohara-san swung her giant disc sword around with no issue at all. Her footwork was wild and unsteady. Each step she took was incredibly unstable. Her feet were barely touching the ground. Rather than she being the one swinging the sword, it felt as if the sword was swinging her.
長木畑さんもたくみちゃんも悪い人だったんだね。
God.
二人とも殺します。タクは殺させない。
God damn. As I desperately deflected Ohara-san's blows, just as I had done before Senna, I focused on the negative emotions pouring out from within her. Oh shit. Let's look inside. The image that appeared in the back of my mind was a mirror. Yup. Wasting no time, I sent the delusion to Ohara-san's dead spots. Wow. Interesting. So Remy is able to see the negative emotions coming off these girls, and because we played every other route before this, now we understand like how she's able to do the why they are they get stun locked pretty much by these delusions. Ohara-san's movements came to a sudden halt. Tears began to pour from her eyes. I let out a sigh of relief. I had to get Taku out of here while I stood. That was when I noticed. I couldn't see Aoi-san anywhere. I looked all around the rooftop and saw her standing at the very edge of it. I frantically took off running, but before I could reach her, her body slowly drifted forward, and then she disappeared over the edge. Oh shit. The sound of something crashing into the ground, the sound of something smashing against the earth. I heard it faintly in the distance. Had she died? Had Aoi-san died? Because of that delusion I showed her? No, I didn't mean to. Oh shit. A fierce blast of wind came from behind me. The impact was tremendous. It felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I felt my brain being shaken around inside my skull. Unable to brace myself beforehand, I was sent flying. I hit the ground hard, and a sharp pain shot through my entire body. I hadn't been cut in any way, but I had taken an extremely hard blow from her fiendish disc sword. My vision was intensely blurry. I tried to get up, but I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't tell who I was anymore. I might have suffered a light concussion. Shit. I tried desperately to look up. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, no, yeah. This is bad. This is real fucking bad for Kazupi. Ohara-san was staggering around, cradling her head in her hands. She violently shook it from side to side. Had the delusion I'd shown her made her lose sight of who she was? Yeah, this is bad. She was moving towards Taku. She was going to kill him. Why didn't you run away? Why are you still here? I had to help him. I closed my fist. But my discord wasn't in my hand. I had accidentally let go of it when I had been hit by the blast earlier. It was laying on the ground a short distance away from me. Shit. Taku was crying out for my help. I have to save him. I won't let anyone kill him. But I'm too far away. I won't make it. Ohara-san had already raised her disc-sword. Taku would die in an instant. He had sunk to his knees and could no longer move. In less than a second, he would literally be crushed by her disc-sword. I have to save him. No matter what I do, I won't make it. Numerous voices surged within me. My thoughts grew erratic. Countless me's pierced me with their gazes from inside my head. Countless me's whispered with their mouths. The whispers continued to cascade, pooling together into a violent flood of voices, each one gnawing away at any and all reason I had. I desperately stood up, but I couldn't do any more than that. I won't make it. Oh shit. I gritted my teeth. Taku's going to die. Kill her. Kill Ohara Kazui. If I can protect him, then nothing else matters. No, it's not like that. Kill her. Wouldn't it be better if Taku died here? Kill Ohara Kazui. Kill Nishijou Takayumi. That's the wish of both Sakahara, Remy, and Takayumi, isn't it? You're wrong. Oh shit. Before I knew it, the disc sword was in my hands. It was supposed to be on the ground, yet I was holding it. I felt the sensation of gouging flesh. Oh my god. I didn't know how I closed the distance between me and Ohara-san, but when I looked, I saw that the disc sword had been holding my hands, had sunk deep into her delicate back. Shit. I was resisting against a will of some kind. I had no intention of killing her. Or was this really my own will, my true nature? Or how our son looked back at me with an empty expression on her face. Aww. Fuck. This is wrong. I don't want to kill her. If I don't stop, she'll... My disc sword wriggled and squirmed. As if it had a will of its own, it trembled with the joy of taking a life, the delight of bathing in blood. I practically shook my head in denial. My disc sword's wings, its fangs, creaked loudly as they bored into Ohara-san's back. Even now, I was trying to gnaw into it and tear her apart. Oh my god. I tried pulling it out, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. I couldn't even let go of my sword. Ohara-san coughed up blood, and when it landed on my sword, dyeing it red. Oh my god. Holy shit. As if it was a pair of wings spreading, it twisted itself deep into Ohara-san's body and tore her apart. Blood burst into the air, and the petite girl who had been alive just a second ago transformed into nothing but mere lumps of flesh. Crimson, illusionary feathers poured down around me. Fuck, man. Seeking desperately for someone to save me, I looked around. Taku was staring at me as if he'd seen a monster. God. But I killed them anyway. Oh, fuck. Both Senna and Kazupi were dead. They died right before my very eyes, and Rumi had been the one to kill them. Right now, she was lying down on the sofa, sleeping. After Kazupi had died, she started trembling, let out a scream, then immediately lost consciousness. I hadn't even been able to stand up for a while from the shock, and scared shitless. My fear had kept building, and eventually I couldn't stand to look at Kazupi's bloody corpse any longer, so I got up, carried Rumi to my room, and shut us in. She would occasionally let out a pained moan, but no matter how many times I called her name, she wouldn't regain consciousness. So I just sat down, hugged my knees, and waited for Rumi to wake up. There wasn't much I could do about my trembling. Senna and Kazupi had just died after all. Unlike the new-gen victims, they were far from being complete strangers. I knew them, talked to them, spent time with them. Just yesterday, the three of us had eaten crunchy coons together, Senna, Kazupi, and I. When I saw that photo of the three of us in it, I bit my lip. It didn't matter how much I wanted to forget it. That scene ripped straight from a nightmare played again and again in the back of my mind. Kazupi's vivid crimson blood, the slimy, sickly texture of the glistening bone sticking out from her body, their motionless eyes that lost all light, and the indescribable fear and sickness I felt in the moment where I saw another person cease to be a person. The moment when her slender body had been ripped apart and had been burned into my retinas. In that moment, I learned how frail people truly were. I felt like I was about to throw up, and if I did end up doing so, that would make it the fourth time I puked. What had ended up happening to Senna? This was an 8-story building. Having fallen all the way from the roof, there was no way she made it out unscathed. She definitely died. The two of them were both dead. I couldn't believe it. It couldn't be real. It had to be a dream, a nightmare. Yeah, that was the only explanation. Dying in such a horrific way, if that wasn't already enough, it was Remy who had killed them. I didn't want to believe it. There was no way I could, but it was the truth. I didn't understand why Senna and Kazupi had suddenly turned hostile and tried to attack me. G had said something about IR2, probably had something to do with my essay from back when I was a kid, but I couldn't care less about that now. After that, Remy had been revealed to be a giggle-maniac, something that honestly hadn't surprised me too much, but then she fought to protect me. She might have gone too far, sure, but there was no way I was going to hold a grudge over that. Still, if things stayed like this, both Remy and I would get caught by the police. Senna and Kazupi's corpses were just lying around out there. Eventually someone would find them and notify the police. I couldn't get caught, as if I would ever let that happen. I could just tell the truth. I hadn't killed anyone, after all, Remy had. And besides, Senna and Kazupi attacked me first, so that had to count legally as self-defense. But I was well aware that none of that would work. Back when the crucifixion had happened, I'd almost been named the culprit. There was no doubt in my mind that it would go the exact same way this time. Moreover, I needed Remy. If she didn't exist, if she wasn't here to protect me from the threat of Shogun, I would be completely fucked. So, when I learned the truth that she was a giggle-maniac, I'd been horrified. If anything, I welcomed it. She wasn't powerless. She wasn't just a naive high schooler. She was my ally. One who even wielded the power to protect me from Shogun. That was why I wanted her to wake up so badly. Sooner rather than later, I'd get her to erase Senna and Kazupi's corpses with her delusional powers. And when she did that, the police would no longer be able to get us. Nobody had found their bodies yet, right? Holding back my urge to throw up, I looked at the door. Kazupi's bloody corpse was just outside, and therefore unlikely to be found, but Senna's wasn't. Senna had fallen off the roof, meaning someone could easily stumble upon what was left of her. It'd be the end if that happened. Seeing how Remy wasn't waking up, I'd had to cover up their bodies somehow. Just the mere prospect terrified me. I didn't want to even look at someone's corpse. And that wasn't even mentioning the fact that I knew them, which made it so much worse. Even so, I desperately shook away my fears, and then I went outside. I had to ensure my and Remy's safety. Oh boy. It was already dark out, leaving my surroundings very dim. I didn't even have the moon to help. The clouds were hiding it. Straining my eyes, I looked over to where Kazupi was lying. Huh? But I couldn't find it. I couldn't find Kazupi's tragic corpse. The fuck? There was still a pool of blood, so I couldn't laugh it off as it was all just a dream plot twist. But her corpse was completely gone. What the? Starting to get really confused, I stuck my head over the edge of the roof and peered down at the street below. There's no one there, and Sen's corpse wasn't there either. There's clearly something down there, something I immediately understood to be a pool of blood, but that was it. No people, no corpse, nobody freaking out, nothing. Where had her corpse gone? The corpse had definitely been there after Rumi had lost consciousness, so Rumi couldn't have erased her with her gigglomaniac powers. But then, who could have... Elise? No, she was still hospitalized in Yagori. Then Shogun? But he was my enemy. There's no way he'd ever do something that would have benefited me. What the hell was going on? Feeling both vaguely anxious and incredibly relieved about the corpse's disappearing, I let out a deep sigh. Oh shit. Then, I felt chills on the nape of my neck. I was being watched. It was the usual mysterious gaze. Shogun, is that you watching me?
僕を見るな。
Ooh. I ducked into my room. Ruby had gotten up. She was walking around the room with a vacant expression on her face. I guess she'd finally woken up, but what should I say to her? Killing Sen and Kazupi had been a pretty extreme shock to her. Then again, that was bound to happen if you killed someone. It wasn't like PKing in ESO. She also said she didn't mean to, and I was sure that only made it worse. I didn't know what to say at a time like this, so in the end I couldn't help but say nothing. Remy looked at me, then tilted her head curiously.
ここどこかな?
Oh shit.
あなたは誰?
What the fuck? Remy was acting strange. Oh no.
リミどうしちゃったの?
リミって誰だろう?
Did she break?
私かな? 私リミじゃないよ.
Wait.
何言ってるんだよ。しっかりしてよ。
私のお名前はわかんないや。
嘘でしょ。嘘だよね。
Shit. Did she like she's like disassociate? I pressed her for an answer.
本当だよ。
Right when she said that, Remy jumped into my arms and started clinging to me. She rubbed her cheeks against mine like some spoiled kid wanting attention, having her so close to me and so suddenly that I started panicking.
あなた誰? 私のお友達かな? きっとそうだよね。お友達ってね、つまりね、私に親切にしてくれる人のこと。あなたは怒らない? 私、怒られるのやだ。あとね、痛いのもすごくやだな。
Amnesia? Or maybe even some sort of age regression. I thought this kind of thing only happened in Rogue. I would never have even dreamed of actually running into a situation like this IRL. But that was only a possibility. The sheer amount Remy had freaked out when she killed Kazupi wasn't normal. And...
ギガロマニアックスとなったものは誰だろうと一度は壊れているんだよ。
Yeah. I remembered the Rate Senna's words. Remy might have broken once again. She killed her own heart and mind. Suddenly, those words came to mind. Couldn't quite remember where, but I had a feeling that someone had told me that before. If Remy had killed her own mind from the shock of having killed Kazuki and Senna, and I was talking to an entirely new personality she had created, I could understand why she was acting like a child. DID, dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personalities. You had accused me of having it. Obviously, I didn't have it, but maybe Remy was suffering from it now. This was all just speculation, of course. What I did know, though, was that the childlike Remy in front of me now was nothing like the Remy I knew. She wasn't the same girl who told me she'd stay by my side, the girl whose kindness had enveloped me. She was completely different now.
こんなの
Oh. I fell to my knees on the spot. I was overwhelmed with despair. As Remy clung to me playfully, she peered on my face curiously. Her eyes were so serene, so beautiful. Purity overflowed from them. Purity that I couldn't stare back into. In a way, we were lucky that Senna and Kazuki's corpses had disappeared. But if Remy was like this, who was supposed to protect me now? Who's supposed to protect me now? Interesting. Okay. I think this is a good stopping point here, folks, as we've gone to the route proper way, and I think this is going to be a switch. Instead of Remy protecting Takayumi, it's Takayumi trying to protect Remy here. And I guess through this, we will learn exactly what happened to Remy, because she seems to know a lot more about being a gigomaniac than even Senna, who I've always thought was the main expert on being a master. But from the way she was telling it and their fight, it seems like Remy has had more experience being a gigomaniac than even her. Which begs the question, how did Remy break? Exactly. Was it caused by Nozomi, or was it caused by something else, is the main question. And how is she going to, I guess, grow, since now she has a brand new personality. She has a brand new kind of identity. She's killed the previous version of herself and has kind of been reborn in a way. So this is fucking interesting. This is really cool. It switches who's protecting who this time. But yeah, I can't wait to see more of this. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, liked it, hit the like button, we don't something, put.com as well. Check out Discord server hang out in, or my church, check description below. And yeah, it's been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!